Before I begin discussing my father, I would like to take a moment to explain the last 2 years of his life and consequently our lives. 2 years ago on January 29, 2011, as I sat in my living room on my computer, I hear my father call out from the family room, "Nancy, je vais habter aspirin." Assuming he had a headache and a bit shocked that he asked me instead of getting it himself, I got him 2 Tylenol and a glass of water. He was sitting in the dark, quietly, and if you knew my father at all, you would know that's not an odd sight. So I dropped off the medicine and went about my business. About 10 minutes later, my father calmly and patiently tells my mother, "Fifi, I think I'm having a heart attack." I immediately jumped up and my mother and I drove him to the ER. He walked independently to the car and did not say a word. No heavy breathing, no cries of pain, nothing. The scene was void of any drama. And as I drove through the red lights, I consoled myself with the idea that if this was something serious, my dad would not look so composed and calm. It's not a heart attack, I told myself, and if it is, it's got to be a very small one. It wasn't until we arrived at the hospital and witnessed him as he went into cardiac arrest, as he died and was resuscitated, and continued to spend 19 days in the ICU, did we find out that my father suffered a massive heart attack that only a few people would be able to recover from. Our family was terrorized. It was the worst weeks of our lives. The miracle man, as the doctors called him, survived. He came home, and I have to say the last 2 years of our lives with my father have been the best years that I can recall in my adult life. As a family, it's as if the angel of death, tapped each one of us on our shoulders and said, "I'm giving you a break this time, but I'll be back." From the day that he was discharged, the dynamic of our home was changed. We valued every moment we had with him. He was relatively healthier than he had been in the past. He was retired, he spent more time at home, and truly seemed more at peace than ever. What was even better is that he had quit smoking, and that was the main factor of his isolation, because none of us wanted to be around him while he smoked his Camels. During the course of the last 2 years, and more than ever, our home was filled with love, laughter, friends, and family. The friendships he built were so authentic and beautiful. As his children, we spent more time with him and his friends than we did with our own friends. They became our extended family. My father was also able to welcome 2 beautiful new daughter-in-laws into our lives. He also developed an even more appreciation for how precious life was. Our family was so sensitive to every one of his physical or emotional changes because we realized that this man was so poised and strong-willed and proud that he could be suffering the most dangerous, deadly disease, and we would not hear a simple complaint out of his mouth. You flash forward 2 years, and here we are again, my father, the silent sufferer. When we found out my father had been diagnosed with cancer, we were beyond devastated. We were terrified and stressed and sad and helpless. We had a taste for how it would be to lose my father before, and we were going to do whatever it took to make sure that we did not lose him this time either. My mother, my brothers, and I began working together to help him in any way we could. We were desperate to show him how much he meant to us. We wanted to feed him, medicate him, fluff his pillows, get him a glass of water, but he didn't want that. Not once in our lives have we ever seen my father angry. He's the calmest, most patient man I've ever encountered in my life, but this was making him angry. He shut down, he did not cooperate with our suggestions, and he wanted to be alone away from the world. We were devastated. How could he not let us help him? Was he depressed? Was he angry? I was so distraught I had a talk with him. And I pulled him aside and I said, "Baba, are you okay? You look sad." He said, "I'm not sad. I'm just worried about you guys." So we talked, and I told him that we'd be okay. And I said, "Why are you alone?" He said, Baba, you need to know something about me. I'm not afraid of dying. I've never been afraid of dying. This is part of life. I said, then why don't you sit with us? He said, because I'm in pain. He wasn't exaggerating. In actuality, my father was in the most excruciating pain known to man. The cancer had penetrated his bones, and he did not understand, and we did not understand how bad it was until after he was gone. Once again, the silent sufferer. I understand now why my father did not want to burden anyone. I understand now that my dad did not want to burden anybody. That's why he didn't allow us to help him. And that's not surprising, coming from a man who throughout my life, at most, asked me to get him a cup of coffee with 1.5 sugar and a little touch cream. Being the most independent, proud, self-sufficient man I've known, he could not feel helpless. To my father, he would endure the pain of cancer, but he could not deal with someone looking at him in pity, for that was the most deadly disease that he could suffer. God loves my father, and I know this for many reasons. He gave my family a second chance and an extra 2 years to love him and bond with him and show him how much he meant to us. God loves my father because he did not let him suffer for too long. God loves him because he spent the last 2 weeks of his 6-week battle sedated and medicated to reduce his suffering. God loves him because he took him away while he still had the most beautiful, gentle, funny, playful, calm spirit. God loves him because he never let him feel helpless or like people feel sorry for him. God loves him because he protected those who loved him and gave each of us a chance to say our goodbyes at our own pace. God loves him because he put him to sleep so that now we had a chance to fluff his pillows, massage his feet, wipe his forehead, kiss his hands, and anything else we wanted to do while he lay there in the hospital, and we did not make him feel bad about it. God loves him because he allowed him to die with his dignity and with his independence and his grace, because those are the main characteristics of his personality. My father has genuinely touched so many people's lives, but what makes him more special is that he didn't try. It was effortless. Every person who met him, even for 1 second, knew that he was a man of wisdom and depth. He was analytical and progressive, gentle and respectful, but he was not a man of many words. Khalil Gibran says, "You talk when you cease to be at peace with your thoughts." There was no one more at peace with his thoughts than my father. He did not need to be the loudest person in the room. He did not need to smother you with compliments, for he was blessed with a profound gift. His soul and his eyes spoke louder than his mouth, and people felt that. Now, for those of you who were blessed to know him more intimately, you know that he was the funniest, quirkiest, most sarcastic man you would have ever met. He was the cause for many people's nickname changes, because when he gave you a nickname, it stuck. It didn't matter what your mom called you. If Sayyid Najib chose your name, it's staying. The long list of unique Najibisms will go down in history. His many qualities included integrity, honesty, innocence, open-mindedness, purity, and honor. And as Sheikh Abdul Latif mentioned so beautifully earlier, he was fair and just. But mostly, he was a man without drama. He loathed anything that was linked to drama. He felt it was a sign of small-mindedness. He functioned throughout his life strictly with logic. So to honor him today with wailing cries and fainting and theatrics would actually be disrespectful to his memory. A true honor would be to remember him with grace and dignity and poise and composure, to use our minds and our words to show our love for him, to stand here articulately and speak of his memory with the same calm demeanor that he lived by. This is how I choose to honor my father. My father wanted to burden no one, and to this day he continues to relieve us. What greater gift can a man give his children than to know that they have a father who never shamed them? We are very proud of his legacy, and his legacy lives on with each of us. I see him in Ali as he refuses to be a sheep and challenges every single day ideas and policies, and speaks out on things that a lot of other people are afraid to speak out on, and asks questions that people are afraid to ask. I see him every day in Hassan, and his quirky, adorable, silly mannerisms, and how he can come up with a song that has all of our names in it and sing it in a rhyming way while we're having our morning coffee together. How he can find a strategic way to annoy us so badly and still come out so endearing and so charming and adorable. I see him in my brother Sam, and how he will sit there and look like he's not contributing and he's disinterested, when in reality he's coming up with the most profound analytical thought that you can imagine will come out of a person. I see him in his lack of urgency. If there was a fire blazing next to him, he would continue to walk at the same pace, just like my father would. And I see him in Muhammad, and I just see him in Muhammad, because he is a carbon copy of my father in every way and everything he does. And I see him in me, now as I stand before you, trying to keep my composure, showing everybody that we're okay, not letting anybody know that we're devastated, because the last thing that we want is for anybody to pity us, and that's how my father was. But you should not pity us. I'm sorry. Because we don't worry about him. We don't worry about our father anymore. I don't question where he is. If a baby died, would you wonder where that baby's soul went? That's the level of innocence that I saw in my father. He was void of sin, intentional sin. And I have the comfort of knowing that he, Sayyid Najib Jaafar, is now with his other family, Ahl al-Bayt. And I know that they will take care of him more than we ever could. Thank you so much.